In this video, we're going to continue to sculpt our model, our character in Blender using the sculpting tools. And we're going to continue to experiment with the mesh filter and also with the brush and different strokes types. And also we're going to talk more about using images like alphas. So in the previous video, we started to use the mesh filter and the cloud filter to apply effects on particular areas of our surfaces. And you can see that I've added here some bolts or rivets or screws, and we can do that in a simple way using the dots of the stroke of the brush that we're using, simple circles, images essentially, or you can use something more detailed and specific that we're going to see later. You can also apply like graphics and logos on the various parts of the armor and, well, basically anywhere you want. And I also want to do an example of something more mechanic, more rigid. Now the shield or the sword or the pieces of the armor right here are like blacksmith made, so they look like rough metal, but I want to do something more mechanic. So we can use the mesh filters. So let's start with the mesh filter. Not only on one part of your model, but you can use it on the overall model, or you can use face sets. Now in this case, you can see that I have the mesh filter activated, but if I click and drag, I'm on the random effect. So if I click and drag, I create this randomized effect, which I think is really good when you want a surface that is not flat or like neat, but you want something really rough. So you can simulate like skin with this. If you do it really slightly, you can simulate the effects of the skin. So we're going into really fine details. As you can see, we are going down and down. Now, if you have more polygons, you're gonna have more skin details if you want. Now, don't exaggerate if you want to simulate skin, because otherwise it will look like some other surface, which could be like a rock or metal or whatever. So always apply the mesh filter carefully. And the random effect, I think it's a really wonderful effect. It's similar to the noise effect that we have in ZBrush, which is really useful to create skin effects and other surface effect. Now you can also use sharpen if you want to sharpen, or you can use smooth if you want to smooth out. Now in this case, if you use smooth, you're gonna lose details. If you use sharpen or enhance details, this is gonna enhance the details that you already applied, like scars or wrinkles or eyebrows or whatever you have sculpted. Now remember that right now we are doing this on the whole body, on the overall character, and sometimes it creates some artifacts, some defects. So be careful. You need to adjust those by smoothing those out. So when you use mesh filter on the overall character, be careful. Do a double check, see if everything is good. If it's not, just go there and smooth out these little problems with the smooth right there. So they could appear when you are to higher level subdivision. So just check if everything is fine, and that's it. So we just created something more enhanced using the enhanced details. And you can use the smooth again if you want to go the other way, so if you want to smooth everything out. So let's say that you don't like your details anymore and you want to go back. You can continue to smooth. So click and drag again, choose the correct strength of the filter, and you will see that everything will get smoothed. So you can see now we lost a lot of details because probably I want to start all over, or I don't know, because I don't want so many details. Because if I want to create like a cyborg or something like less human, less organic. I probably want something smoother and neat than a human character. Now you can also use the undo history if you want to go back. And I want to go back now. I will make another example for a cyborg or something like that, something that looks more mechanic, less soft, less organic. Now, when you use face sets instead of masks, remember that we can smooth out the edges, and also that creates a little bit of issues that we can smooth out later. But at first, when you use face sets instead of masks, we have that advantage. So the same thing that we have been doing with masks and face sets, we can do it using the mesh filters and the cloud filters. So again, to do this, we need to activate the face set option in the mesh filter brush. So in this case, if I want to work only on the t-shirt right here, you can see that I'm using the smooth. So if I click and drag, I'm only smoothing the part of the t-shirt. And I can do the same thing using another effect. So I can create like a random effect on the t-shirt, which again, I think is good if you want to simulate some fabric that is not like really a fine fabric, or even if you want to simulate something that looks like fur in a way, you can do it with random. And again, depends on how many polygons you have there. You can play more or less. You can also enhance here the details, or again, go back and delete the details using the smooth. Or again, test the different effects of the mesh filter. You can find perhaps some other interesting things. And since this is a cloud, you can also experiment more with the cloud filter. So depending on what you want to do, you can go here, and also inflate could be MD. You can see we can increase. And right now I'm not extracting this face set. I'm using it just directly on the base mesh. So remember that you always have a choice if you want to sculpt on your main model, or if you want to extract and create extra parts that you want to treat separately. So right now you can see I've just extracted this, so I can use it separately, and I can inflate it more, make it like more softer. And also we can use remesh here if we want to use more details or less details. We can use remesh. So now it looks like a nice soft shirt. And we can, well, let's talk about seams and sewing. So you can simulate seams if you use the crease, essentially. So if you use the crease, but you need to have it really small and really, there you go, something like this, really small and not so strong, that will simulate something like seams. Because seams, they can be really visible, or they can be, you know, really small and almost invisible, depending on the quality of the shirt. Now in medieval times, probably seams were really visible. Now again, when you want to do like parts, like metal parts or mechanic parts, you can use the seam to separate. You can use the crease brush to separate. You can do it in a negative way, you can do it in a positive. It will create something that looks like seam, or looks like, you know, the intersection of panels, or panels like getting assembled together. Now if you increase the spacing, you can do even better if you want to do seams, because you're gonna have like you see the like dashed lines. So you have dotted lines or dashed lines. You can simulate again seams, or, you know, any other type of decoration you want to apply to a surface, which could be hard surface, could be soft surface, depending on how you adjust the stroke, the space, the fall off. Everything we saw also in the previous video is going to give you different results. Now of course,